This feels weird, right? I mean, like, look at just this interaction that we're having right now feels really freaking weird to me, and I'm sure it does to you too. It feels very depersonalized. It feels like there's way more sensory data coming at us right now, and so our challenge is to try to figure out how to reduce that threshold by the interactions that we have while we're here, to get it back to some sort of, to closer, somewhere in between the interactions that we have online and the interactions that you guys have with each other online, and the difficulties of physical space in engendering that same kind of like closeness, right?
Reality is weird. As I walked through Santa Cruz on my way to the Museum of Art and History, I was filled with a little bit of trepidation. What if he wasn't as cool? What if he was kind of a big jerk? What if he hated me? Like, all these questions were kind of floating around in my mind, which is weird because I've met the man already. The person that you just saw there, if you aren't familiar with him, is Zay Frank, one of my kind of idols on the internet. And it is odd because I've met the man before and he was charming and nice and gracious and interesting and cool, and I am none of those things. All you hope that you do is not devolve into like a blubbering idiot and like drool all over yourself. I succeeded in only half of those things. So I entered the museum, got my registration, spotted a wild Zay, and then kind of fell back into my wallflower position. I admit to being a tad selfish because all I really wanted to do was go and see this light wall that was created by submissions not only by me but by hundreds of other people. What I discovered was something that I hadn't been thinking about, which was this huge community. And yes, it was a little bit weird to know that these people that I know behind screen names or people that I've only seen in video before now being in real life is a little bit weird. And it's an interesting thing in our society now where we're creating these friendships and these communities online without actually seeing the other person's face. And so even though to the outsider this might sound really ridiculous and artsy-fartsy-ish, I had a lot of fun. Zay's push to kind of really revel in each other's company, to talk to people, to not hide behind the lens. Because even though you're seeing me here in a video, there's still a mask that I'm putting up in front of us here. It's not the same as if I was sitting there next to you, kind of seeing you and breathing you and experiencing you. So I did. I pushed outside my comfort zone. I engaged in conversation. I made a stamp. I colored on a duck. I got to see how a 3D printer actually works, which is really fantastically cool. And through it all, I kind of had this whole experience that kind of changed my life. And I wasn't expecting that when I went down to Santa Cruz. It's like, I'm going to Santa Cruz, I'm going to change my life. Here's something that you can try and do here today. Instead of hiding behind the Twitter posts or hiding behind the Facebook updates, try and push yourself out and actually have a real conversation with somebody. Try and go out there and experience the world for a second. And I'm telling that to you in a YouTube video. I realize the irony in this situation. I'd be very interested to hear what happens. And so Santa Cruz ended up being more than I ever hoped it would be. We winded down the evening by having a few talks by some of the artists that were there. We had kind of this reception in the lobby, and then we went out for tacos. And I have no footage of that, but we went out for tacos, so I can say that I had tacos with Zay Frank. But for the dozen or so people that stuck around, having that experience is going to be great. I'm so glad that I met the people that were from Denmark, from Oakland, from all over the States, from Canada, from so many spots around the globe that decided to fly in. And using Zay as our starting point, we were able to talk freely. And it ended up being philosophical discussions, stories about our life, stories about things that I hadn't thought about for years. And those are good experiences to have. I'm glad I had them. One of the things that Zay has done in his community is this idea about a finishing stamp, and that's one of the things that I made. You're supposed to basically stamp on things after you're done with them, and so you can kind of move on from there. I think I'm going to use that stamp literally. I can say I can now move on from the life that I used to have where I was too scared to do certain things and kind of just go off and do the things that I want to do, that I need to do, and that I should do. I really hope that you join me next time. Have a great day.